and Abby McCarthy as well. Let's get straight into it then, Jay. Game's coming thick and fast, and tonight's, I suppose, exactly about that. It's about reacting from the weekend.
Yes, it is. I thought probably our most lacklustre performance of this season, all round disappointing. Give credit to Everton. I thought defensively they were excellent once they got the noses ahead. We found it very difficult to create. We missed the wide man. Havertz never really looked comfortable out on that right-hand side. Frank changed a few things, but there was a pattern in the game and we really found it difficult to change that pattern. So, look, we move on to tonight. That happens in football. We move on to tonight. And Wolves will be looking to do something similar. That's probably how I think that they will go. And we've got to come up with another answer. The first goal in football is always so crucial because it changes the approach, either whether you're winning or whether you're trailing, how you go through the next stages of this game. So, look, it's going to be a tough game. Wolves are on a dodgy run for their standards since they've been in the Premier League, not scoring goals, conceding goals at the moment, losing football matches. So they will be looking for something out of this. They won't admit it, but they'll probably take a point just to get December going for them because they've had a bit of a wretched time of late.
Avi, like Jay says there, we know of their quality. You've seen that over the last 18 months, qualify for the Europa League, continuously performing in Europe as they've done for the last 2 seasons. And by their lofty standards, it's been a difficult and probably disappointing season, losing their top goal scorer as well. But we do need to be aware that they're still a very good side. It's still a very tough place to go tonight.
Yeah, they're always a tough team to play against. But in a way, maybe this is the best time for us to play them just because, they are having a little bit of a rough spell. Jimenez is still out, who is just such a threat. So, hopefully, we can be the one that scores the goals tonight and come away with a clean sheet.
Fingers crossed. Well, it is an early kickoff, so let's get straight into Play Predictor because obviously the deadline is 5 o'clock tonight, so you do need to get your predictions in on the Fifth Stand app. You can win a £500 Megastore voucher and a signed merchandise bundle as well. Nice little extra Christmas present. A little bit late going on, so get that in early doors. Submit your predictions, and this is what we have gone for today. I've gone for a 2-0 win. Abby has gone for a 2-0 win. Jason's gone for a 1-0 win. And Zach, good afternoon, mate. You've gone for a 3-0 win.
Indeed, I have. Yeah, I think more so for a reaction. We also sent the text like a minute after the final whistle on the weekend, so a bit emotional. But I'm looking for a reaction, and I think that's a way that we can kind of show everyone that was just a blip. It happened, especially in a season that like this, which is under different circumstances to most. So I'm hoping for a good reaction. I'm interested to see who plays after what happened with the injuries that we have, and obviously a lot of games coming up over the next few weeks. I'm excited. I'm just happy that we're already talking about the next game.
Jay, it's interesting as well because we know how good Wolves are going forward, but we're also very aware of their attacking difficulties with obviously the horrible injury to Raul Jimenez. We hope he gets well soon. I know he's been back at the training ground recently, which is great to see. But I suppose they are very reliant on him for goals. Diogo Jota was the one that chipped in last season. He's obviously at Liverpool now. So is that the reason we've all gone for a clean sheet for Chelsea tonight?
Moutinho's missing as well, which is, he's an ever-present for them whenever available. He's suspended, of course. So that is another big miss. When you look at the way that they have gone about things, I sense that the manager feels as though the 3 at the back perhaps has been a little bit predictable. That's why he's gone to a 4. Feels as though he's trying to get the balance right between defence and attack, as all managers try to do, getting that balance between being overcautious and not having that attacking prowess and getting it right is really difficult. And I think Frank, to his credit, actually recently has got that balance right between not conceding too many, Southampton, or going ahead and winning against Southampton. So he's got that balance right at the moment. So I get the feeling that's going through his mind. When you look at the wide man as the wide men that they have as well, they've got a lot of pace out in those wide areas. But the main man up top, Jimenez, is the focal point of their attack. Everything seemed to go either through him or around him. He's got his hold-up play. He's good. He's excellent in the air. We know he can finish. So that's been a massive... So I sense that they're a little bit lost right now about how do they focal an attack. Where's their attacking? Are they going to go wide? Are they going to go through the middle? Right now, with Moutinho missing and Jimenez missing, they've got a real problem there. So that's why I've gone for a clean sheet.
Yeah, obviously, Raul Jimenez, huge miss, and obviously we do wish him a very speedy recovery. Let's come on to our hot topic 1 for tonight, which is away from Premier League matters, the UEFA Champions League last 16 draw. Abby, Let's not beat around the bush. It's the one name that was pulled out that we didn't want to draw, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I was watching the draw live and I think all my neighbours heard me scream, no! It's probably still echoing around my hometown. Yeah, not what we wanted. Not what we wanted at all. I mean, basically didn't want them or Barcelona. But, you know, Atletico Madrid are just on really good form right now. Looks like they might even win La Liga. So, yeah, not ideal. But then I think we're on good form too. You know, let's not go into this negatively. I think if we go in and we're well organised, we've got a really good chance.
Completely right. And Zach, that's the other flip side of it. You know, we know how good Atleti are. We've seen countless examples of how good defensively they are. I mean, I think they've won nearly 300 of Simeone's 500 games in charge, which is a magnificent record. They're if they've got 2 games in hand to go top of La Liga. But on the flip side, there's be a lot of teams that will be looking at Chelsea as the group winners going, please avoid Chelsea. 1 defeat in 15, scoring freely, defending well. So it's quite a nice matchup, isn't it?
Yeah, no. And the thing is you know what to expect with Atleti. They're not going to be playing total football and bombarding up the wings and attacking you all the time. It's going to be defensive. It's going to be gritty. Liverpool struggled with it last year, but Lampard knows what to expect. We kind of played against a team similar to them this season in Spurs. Spurs were very kind of the way they're playing at the moment defensively. And look, they're a good side. They have fantastic players, a great manager. João Felix looks like he's really come into his own this season as well. But as you said, people will look at Chelsea and what we've done this season and how kind of not necessarily eased through the groups, but we're very good in the Champions League this season. And so we're a threat ourselves. And with the way that we were performing in the Champions League, I mean, we beat the Europa League winners 4-0. Giroud scored a hat-trick. Like, it's not, you got to be aware. You got to be careful of us.
Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, let's see what Frank Lampard made of the draw when Lee Parker caught up with him yesterday.
Frank, first of all, your reaction to the Champions League draw?
Yeah, it's a tough draw. They're a very good team. Very, very formed team, good players, very good manager, and a lot of Champions League experience. So, you know, it's a tough match, but you have to take on tough teams if you're going to try and win this competition. And we just have to worry about ourselves when that game comes around and prepare right and believe in ourselves.
Much is made of the Premier League this season, but I guess La Liga are very similar because they're doing well. There are teams maybe at the top of the table that maybe historically wouldn't have been.
Yeah, there are. I sort of keep an eye on the league itself, and they are riding high, and the league looks slightly different, like you say. Teams trying to adapt to the difficult circumstances. We've seen it sort of level out the Premier League or change things slightly and whatever, but quality is normally always there. And when you have a manager like that, as I say, good players through their team that they've kept, who have been there for a long time being successful, then it's obviously going to give us a hard match.
Team you come up against once or twice, what are your memories of facing them in the Champions League?
Yeah, I played them in the group, I think the group stage, around 2010ish. I think I scored at home, one of them. I've been on a dry patch, I remember that. I hadn't scored for quite a few games. It was early Carlo Ancelotti days, I think. And that goal sort of broke my duck and got me back in on the goals, and it was a successful year in the end. And then obviously the semi-final, was it, in 2013?
13-14, yeah.
13-14 with... I got suspended, I got booked in Atletico. We dug in for a 0-0 out there. It was a tough night, I remember that. And obviously disappointingly lost in the home game, which I watched from behind the bench.
And a certain Diego Costa was playing for them, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was a top player, you could see that. And I'm guessing Jose had his eye on him at that point, but he was a physical, quality player, as we found out at Chelsea when he came.
Okay, Jay, I just want to get your view on the Champions League draw. Obviously, we've heard of Frank as well, but I know it's a cliche, but Chelsea have never done it the easy way. You know, the first thing that you take solace from, and you think back to 2017 when we played away in the Wanda Metropolitan. Was it Batshuayi in the last minute with the winner? Amazing performance. So we've done it before. We've done it the hard way before. We've just got to do it the hard way again.
Yeah, it's an old cliche, but in Champions League football, but actually, if you're going to win it, you've got to beat these type of teams. And what's really interesting about this is the team we all wanted to avoid. But you know what? Imagine if we get through, how that will leave us and the rest of Europe looking at us and the confidence going forward. So look, it's a tough game. Zach made a great point. They are the Spanish Spurs. That's exactly the way they play. He doesn't care about style, doesn't care about how pleased the crowd are. He only cares about one thing, and that's winning. And it's winning football. He will do it the dirty side. One thing I thought about when I saw this is Frank has played in a midfield against the Simeone team. Now he's manager. So Frank might use that. What's it been like as a midfielder playing against that manager, the way he sets up? So he's going to use that experience that not a lot of other managers against the Simeone team has had about actually setting up line. Because there might have been games where Frank has gone, I don't feel comfortable with the way we're doing this. And he'll have to recall on that. So look, we can beat them. Make no mistake about that. But it is going to be a pig of a game.
Massively, but I suppose there is that thing as well, Jay. Obviously we're competing at the top of the Premier League when it comes around, but as our Atleti, they've got a chance of winning the league this year. So do you reckon there's a little bit of split focus there?
Maybe. I very much doubt it come the game. Look, they got beat 2-0 away at Real Madrid at the weekend. They went to 3 at the back. So he's trying something different, and it didn't work, clearly. So come the night of that game, La Liga, Premier League football will be pushed to one side. It will be about that. And knockout football, this is where the Champions League really gets going. And do you know what? We might need an away goal. 0-0 for them. I think they'll take that 0-0 first leg at home. We might have to get an away. Even a 1-1 I'll take right now.
Completely great shout. Well, we are joined from Molineux by the brilliant Matt Davies-Adams. Matt, how are you, mate? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. Now, I believe you've got the all-important team news for us because we've all been asking the question. We've all been scratching our head wondering what the selection is going to be tonight. So take it away, pal.
Well, Christian Pulisic is back. That's the headline. Only changed that from Saturday at Goodison. So it's Mendy in goal, back four, James, Silva, Zuma and Chilwell. Then N'Golo Kanté, Mason Mount. We've got Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Pulisic and Olivier Giroud, again, leading the line. Maybe something of a surprise given how Tammy got on here last season, but Giroud is obviously a man in form as well.
What have you made of that, Matt? Because obviously we know that Frank likes to pick players on form, but also the way they train. Having Christian Pulisic is a real addition. Do you think maybe there's something in that in Giroud playing because we know how good a foil he can be for the attacking players that want to join in?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. That flat-out pace of Pulisic was really, really noticeable. The absence of that, wasn't it, on Saturday night? So maybe that's come into Frank's thinking. I just thought Tammy Abraham beat up Conor Cody here last year in a way that I haven't seen anybody else do before or since. So I did think that might swing it in Tammy's way. But listen, Olivier's been in terrific form, hasn't he? So we've got to go with what Frank thinks.
Jay, Christian Pulisic coming into the squad, does that mean that Havertz will be freed up more centrally, do you think? Will he play in a midfield 3? Will he play as a 10? What are you looking at?
Looking at the game against Everton, looking back at that afterwards, I just wonder whether Frank maybe could have gone to a 4-2-3-1 throughout that game. Maybe push Mason out wide, Havertz go a bit more centrally and have cover and N'Golo sitting a little bit deeper there. And I just wonder there, Matt, what is the news? What are your thoughts? Is it a 4-2-3-1? Is it a 4-3-3? Because it can change. A 4-3-3 can be a 4-2-3-1 and let Havertz have a little bit more license to go and roam and be that, as kind of Joe has alluded to there, be that one behind Giroud and be a little bit more support for Pulisic and Timo.
Looks that way to me. Yeah, I would think so. And I think that's going to be best for Kai, isn't it? And that's what we want to see. We know how difficult it's been for him having come back from COVID. We want to see him in his best position where he's most natural. And you do feel against a team that are struggling at the moment. Let's be honest, they've been really good in the Premier League the last couple of years, but their form's been patchy of late. This could be the night where Havertz shows us what all the fuss is about, I think.
Absolutely right. And I mean, leads nicely actually on to what Frank was saying in the pre-match press conference, which is Frank's called for patience and perspective. And I think that there is a big part of that, isn't there, Abby? Because, Kai Havertz is a great example of that. He's a young player. He's only just joined the club. He's moved to a new city in the middle of a pandemic. Let's not forget that. You can't go and do the normal touristy stuff. He's had COVID and he's still showing glimpses of how brilliant he can be. So once he hits the ground running and really gets to that top form, there's a world-class player in there. We just need to get the best out of him.
Yeah, what a challenging thing for him to do, to move to another country and then, get the Rona. I actually had it myself and I definitely felt the effects afterwards, the tiredness. They're saying it does affect people's fitness levels and things like that. That's not to be underestimated. But the flashes of talent that we have seen, when he gets the ball, he dribbles with it, it's been some killer passes. I feel like, today could really be the day that he makes his mark. And all of us are like, come on, that was a great signing.
Absolutely right, Zach. That term that Frank used, patience and perspective. It could. I mean, you could look at it across the league, and it could sort of compare to a lot of teams. You know, but you do look at the other teams that are supposedly around us in terms of the big six. In City, not doing amazingly well in the league. Man United looking in turmoil out of the Champions League. Arsenal, again, all of the above. When it comes to what we're asking for, patience and perspective, I suppose it's in the fact that Frank's saying, you know, we're still on a journey. We've still got a huge amount of players that have come in the summer. We're still getting to grips with playing together every week. We've got a big batch of games coming up now. And over the next 5 or 6 weeks, we'll certainly find out where we are. Yeah,
I mean, we kind of said it earlier, that this season, more than any other season before, is such an unknown. You don't know whether the fact that we've had no pre-season is going to affect us in the long term. Come, say, January, you don't know whether players are going to take a bit longer to get to full fitness and with it. And then at the fact that at times there's 4 or 5 new players in the starting 11 who haven't necessarily gelled together properly yet. It's something which takes a lot of time. And you know, maybe some football fans at times can be a little bit fickle and want the success straight away. It's the beginning of a project. You know, it could take a year. Who knows? Maybe next year we look at it and we go, oh, my Lord, thank God we were patient. Look at us flying now. But yeah, patience is a virtue, as they say.
Matt, it's obviously a big test for the fullbacks in particular tonight in Reece James and Ben Chilwell, because by the looks of it, it looks like Wolves might go back to a 5 at the back and play wing back. So you're asking quite a lot more of them. And I suppose when we get the best out of Reece and Ben, it's when they can fly forward and affect the game in the final third. So the fact that they're going to have a little bit more to do in the reverse side of the pitch will be a test tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I struggle to think of 2 fitter players in that position in the Premier League, which is massive, isn't it? You back them both to be able to get up and down the pitch for 90 minutes, even at this stage of the season when they played so many games already. There aren't too many people that I'd rather have other than Reece and Ben in those positions, particularly. I mean, James crossing. His defending is very underrated, I think. But in terms of whipping those balls in, we know that Chilwell can do it, but there's nobody better in the Premier League for me at the moment than Reece James at putting a cross in. And yeah, as you say, they can both get back and do their defensive jobs as well. And they're going to have to here tonight.
Absolutely. And Jace, obviously the addition of Christian Pulisic gives us that natural width that I suppose you may not always get with Timo and Kai, that want to drift inside and affect the game in the middle section.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we really missed him. I mean, we had a number of Ziyech was missing, Callum. You know, we really were up against it a little bit. 3 players that would probably, had any one of them been fit, probably started, certainly had an impact on the game. Look, we said before the match, well, I did, I want to see if Pulisic is going to start, because that is a real plus for us. It gives us another dimension, not just on the outside and the inside, but his pace, the injection of something which will make them potentially sit back and be fearful. Because when you play a 3, the space is behind the wing-backs. So you're looking for those wing-backs to go on, and if they are out of position, that's where Pulisic can get the centre-halves dragged out. The centre-halves don't want to be in those wide areas. They want to stay nice and narrow as a 3, make sure there's no space. What they don't want is one of those to go missing, and that's where we can exploit it with that pace from Pulisic and Timo.
Abby, I saw a stat today. I hope this is right, because I think it is. I've written it down. If I've written it down wrong, then I apologise. But Christian Pulisic is the 2nd highest selling name on the back of a shirt anywhere in the world. Now, we know how popular he is, obviously, in America and obviously in this country. But let's not forget, you know, he was Chelsea's best player after lockdown. I don't think that's up for debate. I thought he was sensational, arguably one of the better players in the league. But I suppose the fact that we've got so many options in those wide areas, the fact that he's coming back in and going, that's great. And really, he makes every team in the league better. So the fact we can welcome him in tonight is a huge bonus.
Yeah, he's just one of those magical players for me. I love watching him play football. I really do. He's one of those players who can just create something out of nothing. As soon as you kind of see him with the ball, you're like, okay, this could go somewhere. He's always looking to get in front of the goal and get some shots away. So yeah, I might have to buy a Pulisic shirt. I don't think I've got one yet. Sort of sound,
there you go. I mean, you've asked on the right platform, to be fair, Abby. Well played there. But Zach, there is that, isn't there? And there's the fact that Christian obviously takes a huge amount of responsibility when he plays for his country. He's still such a young age, but has been given that responsibility and takes it on the chest. And he's one of those players that when you need a little bit of magic, he's one that wants to pick the ball up, wants to drive at players, wants to commit, wants to win fouls, win penalties. So the fact that we've got that potentially against a 5 at the back with 3 very good, but also very tall and not the quickest centre halves as well is again something we need to look at today.
Oh yeah, and the idea that this is still a Christian Pulisic that is so young and has so much potential is scary. And to be honest, I don't say this lightly. I think there's actually a few players in the Chelsea squad who over the next, say, 5 years or so could be challenging for a Ballon d'Or, and he's one of them. The idea of Pulisic running at, as you said, the Wolves defence is something that I think Conor Cody had nightmares about last night and hoped he wasn't playing. What we got to hope for is that he can continue this fitness, because as you said, last year after lockdown, when he was starting, he was the best player on the pitch. I think back to that Man City game, he was brilliant. That first half against Arsenal, he was the best player on the pitch for us, and he really, really does. He's similar to Hazard in a way. He doesn't dribble the exact same. He'd love to take on a player, and is probably actually a bit more skillful at times with more of the simple stuff. But look, he needs to get a good run of games, and let's hope Wolves is the start of it.
Absolutely. Matt, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Make sure you wrap up warm. It looks cold out there this evening, but thank you so much. We will catch up with you very soon. That is all from us for now.
Hi Frank, how you doing?
Hi, good, thanks.
Good. First of all, we'll be asking everyone today the sad news that Gerard Houllier has passed away. Just your response. You'll have come across his team during your playing career.
Yeah, I came across him on and off the pitch. Was always an absolute gentleman in the times that I met him, and just reading some quotes then from people who knew him much better than me. That seems to be the resounding thing that comes out of this. A great football person, very successful in his managerial career, great person, and all the respect to his family, thoughts with his family from myself and everyone at Chelsea, of course.
Also today, Champions League draw, Chelsea drawn against Atletico Madrid. Was that one of the tougher ones you could have drawn out of the hat today?
I think most people will say it's the toughest draw that we could have had. When you go on probably current form, how they're doing in the Liga, European experience, quality of team and player, I think most people would say that. On the other hand, I think all draws are difficult in the Champions League. We have to have belief in ourselves, and when that game comes round, and you're going to have to try and beat these sort of teams if you're going to win the Champions League. So it is what it is.
And you say, because some people might be surprised to hear you say that they're the toughest ones you could have got. You genuinely feel like
no, I'm not saying. I'm saying I think any draw will be tough. I just think if you look at I think they're top of the Liga, and when you look at the batch of teams, when I talk about, as I say, I watched them knock Liverpool out last year. Who are obviously a great team, and they have that experience and they have quality in their squad. So I think most people would say that they were certainly one of the toughest teams we could have drawn on paper. But we'll have to turn up and do our job and be confident that we can beat them.
Before that, we've got plenty of league matches to think about, including Wolves coming up next. You've been on such a fantastic run until the defeat at the weekend. Was that just a slight stumble, do you think, or is that something your players are going to have to bounce back from after having going so well?
Yeah, well, both of those, I think. I think the Premier League is unforgiving. We saw that with different results over the weekend. We see it pretty much every weekend or every match day. We want our top level on Saturday, and we got beaten. That's it. We've been on a really long unbeaten run, playing some really good football as well as winning games, and we dropped our level for a game. So yeah, it's absolutely on us to pick it up again straight away. Was it a matter of you just dropping your level? Do you look at your performance of the weekend and think, yeah, we didn't match up to what we've been doing in the last few weeks or so? Yeah, we've been playing well, and I'm not the one that always sits here and says that, because I know that the next game is always the most important one. But we've been playing well and getting results with that, and moving in the direction we want. But this is the Premier League, as I say. You don't go to these clubs like Everton and expect anything, and we didn't quite perform, and we lost the game.
Let's come to you, Moose. Hi Frank, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm going to ask one about the game in a moment, but it seems pretty likely this afternoon that London is going to go into Tier 3, and I was speaking to a couple of managers in London back end of last week. Just got fans back, just kind of got used to having fans back. It's going to be difficult for you and the players to now adjust to playing behind closed doors again.
Yeah, I think if it comes in, Moose, I think it will be, and I'm slightly disappointed. Even though we're in Tier 2 and we've had fans in for a game already, I did feel that it should have been a level playing field for fans. If some clubs can have them and some can't. We've seen, I think, already, or felt it on the pitch, the backing that they give you and what it does to the game. And I think that should be pretty level. I also think that we can, I'm not telling the government what to do, but control 2,000 fans coming into a stadium if they're coming from within that tier or whatever, however they want to do that, to keep things moving along. So it's unfortunate, to say the least.
Do you think, just off the back of that follow-up, do you think maybe football should be exempt? I'm not, again, like you, I'm not trying to tell them what to do, but do you think there's a case to argue?
Let's get it right. We are making it up as we go along, and that's not to sound critical. That's just a fact that we've never been in this position before. And I think when you're talking about can you control the situation, if clubs can control it, I think they've shown it so far that they can. So I would like to have thought that there could be something done to make it exempt where we can get that 2,000 number in. But again, that goes above my station. I'm just saying what I think.
Yeah, you and me will never be Prime Minister, Frank. Well, you might.
I don't want to be, don't worry.
The last one then on the game. I mean, if you're in the middle of a very busy schedule, which includes the Christmas games, Boxing Day, going into New Year, how important now off the back of the weekend is it to stay in the race? None of the top teams by less than one at the weekend. It's just important over the next month, isn't it, to stay in the race?
Yeah, definitely. And as I kept saying when people were sort of touting us for title contenders after the Leeds game particularly, I think I felt it's a long race to win a Premier League. I did it as a player. I understand lots of elements of it, and there are lots of difficult moments, and one of those is losing a game and trying to bounce back from it very quickly, which is what we need to do, and to sustain performance and sustain results over a period of time, and particularly a busy period of time like Christmas. So yeah, it's on us to try and do that.
Go to Olivia at PLP.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
What's the update on Christian Pulisic? Obviously, he was left out of the squad. Is he going to be in the squad or even in contention to start against Wolves tomorrow?
Yeah, he was out of the squad for injury, so he was struggling with his hamstring at the weekend. He trained when we played against Everton on that day and has felt better, so he's in the squad for tomorrow. Yet to be decided whether he starts or not, but it's obviously positive news from where it was at the weekend.
Perfect. And you've been playing 4-3-3 and it's been working really well, and the balance of the team's been really nice. With Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi both being out, are you considering a different formation almost to get better of the players that are available to you? I'm
not in the short term, no. I think we've been playing very well. Of course, as you say, Hakim Ziyech has certainly been very pivotal when he's been playing, and Callum, when he's played, has done well. And all of a sudden, we're very short on wingers. But we have capabilities to still play. It wasn't the formation that we didn't get right at the weekend. It was actually the way we executed it, which we have players that can definitely comfortably do that. So we just need to improve on the weekend.
And let's finish this section with you, Liam.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Just to follow up on Olivia's question, with the wingers out, I know you said Pulisic's coming back. Is it a little bit harder to get the kind of creation in this team that you've had to such a healthy degree in the last few weeks? And do you maybe need other players in other positions to step up and assume that creative responsibility?
I think what we have to come to terms with is that it felt like Everton played very similar to how Tottenham played against us a couple of weeks ago. And if people are watching us, of course they'll try and stop us doing what we've been doing well. And then it's on us to find other ways. And we didn't move the ball quickly enough against Everton as a team to hit the sides to maybe turn them round. So I think we just need to make sure that we understand that if teams make it difficult for us, we have to have ways to get around that. And our level dropped. I think even at our top level, we would have found a way around that. And I can certainly accept this group of players going so long unbeaten that there's one game that feels like that. And we can't really make the excuse of not having the wingers. It's unfortunate in the short term. As I said before, I think we have players capable of playing in those areas. So I don't want to hang on that one, and hopefully the wingers are all back soon anyway.
It's gone short here to Harvey White. Nodded back in. No flag. Worst possible start. Okadina is in to pop it past Petr Cech, and Tottenham lead. Chelsea just haven't got started yet. Lyons Foster. Tottenham, remember, can go above Chelsea if they win here. Harvey White with the ball in. It's a really good ball in, and that's a brilliant header from the 16-year-old Dane Scarlett. What a couple of weeks he's having. A first-team debut, and a goal that puts Chelsea in trouble here. Livramento. Chelsea so much more on it in this second half, and that's surely a foul. It is. Penalty. George Nunn has won it. And well done him. He wasn't a favourite to get to that. He's definitely fouled. Big moment here for Miles Peart-Harris, and it's in. Game on again. The substitute who helped in the comeback against Man City and started the ball rolling here too. Bate. Lawrence. What a ball that is. And look at Livramento go. He's got the pace to Livramento. He's got Marcel Lewis in the middle, and it's 2-2. And that's been coming. What a brilliant second half performance this is from Chelsea already. It's like a different side. And that is a superb goal. Bit of a slice that from Austin. Flicked on by Alfie Devine. Well, that's a filthy challenge from Devine, and Drinkwater's gone in after him as well. And there's going to be cards here, and they might not be yellow this time. It's all kicking off. And I can't see either of them getting away with that. Indeed, it is red for Devine. And it's surely going to be, yes, it is. 10v10, Drinkwater sent off too. Around the back, Peart-Harris here. It's almost an air shot. Suddenly Tottenham are clinging on. Levi Colwill. Henry Lawrence. Henry Lawrence! What a hit that is. That is so close to a brilliant, brilliant goal.
Hey, come on, half. Come on.
Livramento. Ricochet's worked out. Lewis here, pulls it back for Peart-Harris. He's done it! 3 minutes to go. It's another fabulous PL2 comeback from the Chelsea boys. Miles Peart-Harris with his second and Chelsea's third. What a game!
Welcome back to Matchday Live. Chelsea trip to the Midlands tonight to face Wolverhampton Wanderers. A win for both teams, very much needed in reaction to defeats at the weekend. A win for Chelsea will put them right in the title picture as well, top of the table, if hopefully. Let's go straight to the team that Frank Lampard has selected for tonight then. Edouard Mendy in goal, a back four of Reece James, Kurt Zouma, captain Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell. N'Golo Kanté, Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner and Olivier Giroud. On the bench for Chelsea tonight, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Antonio Rudiger, Jorginho, Tammy Abraham, Mateo Kovacic, Billy Gilmour and Cesar Azpilicueta. Let's go to our one to watch for tonight then, which is Timo Werner, Chelsea's top scorer in the Premier League, joint with Kurt Zouma. In fairness, because I know a lot of people we've seen on social media perhaps expecting unbelievable numbers from Timo Werner. He is fairly consistently, but he's another one that, you know, he's playing slightly out of position, will perhaps want a little bit more from himself, and once he gets to that level and the level that we all know he can be at, Chelsea have got a superb striker on their hands.
Yeah, I don't think we're too concerned about where this is going to end up. I think there's two trains of thought here. One, the numbers he's got so far are pretty satisfactory. The numbers he could and perhaps should have had should be through the roof, and somewhere in the middle is probably the truth. You know, you don't score every single chance, but there have been some glaring misses, really, by anyone's standards, that he, some of his ability, should really be put in a way. I do sense, Joe, that there's going to be a team that's going to take a whacking off him. You know, there's going to be a hat trick around the corner. I sense that is not too far away. It's not just his goals, but it's his contribution as well. The goal he set up for Tammy over in Newcastle, the goal he set up for Pulisic here at Stamford Bridge. So he's adding that to his game as well. So right now, there's still much more to come. And I think if you were to ask him, he'd probably be open and honest and say, do you know what? I could have done, perhaps should have done a little bit better, but there is still more to come. So right now, I'm pretty relaxed about it.
Yeah, I think that's bang on, because, you know, if we're sitting here and Timo's got 10 Premier League goals, you'd go, yeah, I can see that. The fact he's got 4 Premier League goals doesn't tell half the story, because like Jay pointed out there, Zach, that the work rate that he puts in, the assists and not even just the assists, but the chances he's created. And again, he's very quickly fit into Chelsea, and he's played a lot of football, not just for Chelsea, but for Germany as well. Frank tried to rest him, what was it, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago away at Burnley, and then Pulisic gets injured in the warm-up, and then there's that rest gone. So he's played a lot of football already.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, as we kind of mentioned, he is playing in not his natural position. He can play left wing, and that's the beauty of having versatile players. But it's not his natural position. People comparing him to his play when he was at RB Leipzig, and he's in a completely different role. He's having to be more creative. He's having to take on more players, increase his dribbles, and I think people were kind of. It's not like new news about this with Timo. He was doing the same kind of thing with RB Leipzig. He'd have a few games where he didn't score, and it's not that kind of stuff. And then, as Jay said, he'd have games where he'd then bang 3 goals in against one team and absolutely demolish them. I think if you asked him, yeah, as Jay said, he'd definitely maybe think he could do a little bit better. But also at the same time, I think he'd be like, I think I've also done pretty well. I mean, if you're a right back in the Premier League and you're facing against Timo Werner, it is a worrying sight. We saw in the Leeds game, in the 93rd minute after playing 93 minutes of football, he still was running at a ridiculous speed. And I personally am very, very happy with him, and I'm excited to see him every time he's on the team sheet.
Abby, he's a player as well, like Jay said. There's definitely a team at some point that's going to take a hiding from Timo. He's going to come away with 3, 4, however many. But also the fact that Reece James is playing so well at right back, because a lot of Timo's goals might actually come tucking in at the far post and getting 3 or 4 tappings. You know, he had a chance obviously at Everton, which he'll be slightly disappointed with. I think he gets a little bit unfair. Not Everton, sorry. The other week when Leeds. When the goalkeeper actually makes a really good save to clip it onto the bar in the second instance. But he'll get chances at the far post. And with the quality of delivery that we have from wide areas, it's only a matter of time before he does bag a haul, as it were.
Yeah, Reece James has just had an incredible season so far, hasn't he? Some of those crosses he's been whipping it. Yeah, as soon as Werner's on the end of a few, that goal tally is going to go up and up and up.
Absolutely. We're going to look at Reece James a little bit later on. Definitely, we're going to look at Reece James a little bit later on. But Jay, with Timo, that like Zach was saying, he's asked to do a different role in terms of playing wider. There's a lot more defensive responsibility in the Premier League. We've seen RB Leipzig, that the good and the bad of them. Defensively, they're not very good, but going forward, they are good. So you've seen that it's quite a top-heavy team in that aspect. He's asked to do a lot more since arriving at Chelsea. He's playing in a wider area, but that link-up and that partnership that he started to create with Ben Chilwell has looked really good over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the sickening part about Ziyech's injury is the fact that Reece was also creating that same sort of relationship down the right-hand side as Ben was creating with Timo on the left-hand side. And it was really starting to work. Timo making runs inside, leaving space for Chilwell to go on that outside. Against Everton, because they played pretty much a 5 at times, there was that space that he was just getting passed on, and Chilwell was running into traffic. It was very difficult to get that relationship built up. Today might be something similar. That's why it'd be really interesting to see if Kai is playing as a 10 or is he playing in a 3 and then asking to drift into that number 10 role. It'll be somewhere in between is my guess, but it'll be fascinating to see if it's a 4-2-3-1 strictly or whether it is a 4-3-3. If it is, then Timo's got someone else he can bounce that ball off. If he is in there, so he can play that ball off. It doesn't look for Giroud. Giroud might give him a bit more space. Can he bounce that ball off Kai? And that's where I'm really looking forward to seeing Kai play that 10 and also Pulisic the other side. Can that relationship build? And of course, those players there, and we know how technically gifted Giroud is, that's mouthwatering. We can get those 4 players working together. I'm really excited about that.
Zach, do you think that's mainly the reason that Frank selected from Olivier Giroud, other than the fact he's in frightening form, but the fact that when you play someone like Giroud, you are looking to get the best out of Kai Havertz and Pulisic and Werner, because like Jay said, he doesn't occupy the same spaces that perhaps Timo would if he was playing as a 9 or maybe even Tammy playing as a 9. You are looking perhaps then for the attacking players and those 3 that are going to occupy the 3 behind Giroud to contribute a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Eden Hazard said it best. He's the best link-up man in the world. When you're a winger or you're a 10, whoever you are, he gets you involved in the game. He gets you in the score sheet. He may not score necessarily lots and lots of goals, but he's providing assists and contributing to the play so much. And I think that's the thing with Chelsea, is a lot of the newcomers as well have come into the squad and gone from being the star player at RB Leipzig, Leverkusen, Ajax, and now they're in a squad where everyone is a kind of the star player. Everyone has to chip in and do goals. So instead of maybe seeing players score, say, 30 plus goals for their club a few years ago or last season like they did, it's now, especially at the moment with this season at Chelsea, everyone seems to be a goal scorer. So it's more shared out. Everyone's going to maybe hitting double digits around that front line rather than just one person getting all of the goals. And Giroud is perfect for that. He gets everyone involved.
Completely right, Matt. I mean, Tammy's probably a little bit gutted he's not playing tonight, because last time we travelled to Molineux, we put on a 5-star show and he was very much involved. So let's take a little look back at last season's win.
The international break gave Chelsea a chance to reflect on their start to the season. Today they visit Molineux. Oh, good way out! Oh my goodness me! That is extraordinary from Fikayo Tomori. What a way to score your first Chelsea goal. Shoot is the cry when Fikayo Tomori gets the ball. He's played it into Mount instead. Was there a touch on Mount there? Doesn't matter. It's 2-0. It's Tammy again. 3 straight Premier League games in which he scored. Chelsea have got 2 in a couple of minutes. Chelsea keeping the pressure on. Jorginho looking deep. Again, met it in the air, only as far as Alonso though. Back in from him to Abraham! 3-0! Tammy at the double again. Here's Abraham. Looking for his hat-trick. Tammy Abraham! Oh, what a goal. You just never doubted it. A first Chelsea hat-trick for Tammy Abraham. It's his day at Molineux. Swinger from Moutinho this time. Another great delivery. Kepa can't hold on. Doherty in behind here. Good save, Kepa. Rebounds in though. Here he is again. This time he gives it to Mount. Is he going to get his customary goal? Mason Mount. Yes, he is. Thank you very much and good night. 5-2. Mount again. It is a magnificent result for Chelsea, who have blown Wolves away here. They've beaten them by 5 goals to 2.
You can see why that's a lot of Chelsea fans' favourite day from last season, can't you? Tammy Abraham hat-trick, Mason Mount, and then an absolute stunner from Fikayo Tomori, all created in Cobham. What a day. I mean, any of that today would be lovely. But it brings us nicely onto our hot topic 3 for tonight, which is a third way through the season. Is the table taking shape? Abby, I'll come to you first because I know Jason's got a theory on football this season, which I want to dive into in a second. But I'll get your thoughts on it first. What do you think? Because obviously Lampard has said it's going to be closer than ever this season. It's definitely looking like that already, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking really tight. I was literally just looking between like 8th and top of the table. There's 6 points in it. So it's really, really tight. Also, just with this season, the way that the games are in such quick succession, I feel like it's going to be really strange. Like kind of anything could happen. It's so unpredictable, isn't it?
Oh, massively. And like you pointed out there, that the festive season is always a ton of games. And Zach, I suppose, perhaps not now, but in a month's time, when we've played through this festive period where you're playing every 3 days, every 4 days, whatever, and you're playing teams that perhaps haven't got time to find form, you've just got to get results out, then we'll really know.
Yeah, exactly. I think come January, we'll start to see it. But that being said, it is also, it's a mental season and a season where a lot of different odd results are happening and you kind of look at that table, and if you drop 3 points, you can go from being second to being 6th. And so I think that personally is how it's going to be really until the end of the season.
Jay, top in the top 5, Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea. So, you know, not too unheard of. Leicester and Southampton, again, you could argue the way they've been playing football, deservedly up there. Man United in 8th, Man City in 9th, Arsenal in 15th. Talk me through your theory.
Well, I have said that football's drunk, and maybe football's sobering up a little bit, but we are in the festive season, so maybe we've got a bender again. Who knows? But we had international football in between European football, and I don't know if you noticed, you probably did, that Leicester was the only side that had European football last week that actually won. So that might give you a little bit of an insight. Now we've got this festive period where thick and fast, the squad rotation is going to be absolutely crucial. We're getting to January. The new TV fixtures were announced a couple of hours ago. We got the FA Cup. We got a nice home draw. That's where you rest the players. That's where the fringe players come in. That's where you expect to see wholesale changes. Then we got a Friday night against Fulham. Then we got Southampton. Then we got the FA Cup again. Hopefully we get another kind draw. So this between now and the end of Jan, there's going to be moments which we hope we can rest players, but the games come thick and fast. That doesn't stop. And then, of course, you get into to February and Champions League football picks up again. So it's that, I think the deeper squads, I think those teams will deal with it best. And also, crucially, is keeping your best players fit.
Yeah, you mentioned that FA Cup game early in January against Morecambe at home. It was a Sunday at 1:30 kickoff. I think there was a goalkeeper that played in the PL2 last night that might be knocking on the door asking for a start. I think he's got in with the manager anyway, so we'll see what happens with that one. Abby, has there been many comments on the app about the way that the season's taking shape? Because obviously, you know, we're pleased where we are. If we win tonight, we go top of the table. But like you said, it's so tight and congested up there that I do wonder what as a whole we all make of it.
Yeah, it's really divided on the app, to be honest. So Simon M is saying this season is a marathon, not a sprint. We've just got to concentrate. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But then Japith saying this team can win titles. Love the confidence. But then again, it goes back to Wayab, who's like, it's too early, way too early to be talking about the title race. Mitch saying expectations to win haven't been this high in a long time, which they definitely haven't. You can definitely feel an excitement amongst Chelsea fans, but I'm trying not to get too overexcited.
It's a great point now. We are getting a little bit overexcited, aren't we? And I think Saturday may turn out to be quite a blessing in disguise, really, because we know how good the squad is, but also there is that element that that's one defeat in 15. Been on such a good run. Players are starting to come back to fitness. I mean, Zach, you know, we're still without Hakim Ziyech. We're still without Callum Hudson-Odoi tonight, but Christian Pulisic, I know we've mentioned him in the pre-show, but just a little bit more chat on him because he is such a big addition. You come into a festive period where it's really congested. We've got a luxurious 6-day break after tonight, which is unheard of at this time. I mean, that's like a summer holiday, isn't it? That's madness how long that is in terms of the Christmas period. But someone like him, minutes are important to manage correctly because of the injuries that he's had, the type of explosive player he is.
Yeah.
Welcoming him in tonight is important, but it's also as important that he gets through tonight unscathed.
Yeah, 100%. And Frank will know that. Frank will know that if there's any slight worry, then maybe he'll have to do a substitution or such. But he is such a good player to come and have into our squad, come back, because he's important. Realistically, in my opinion, when everyone is fit and everyone's playing at their best form, Christian dominates one of those wing positions. It's one of his positions to have, and someone else has to come and take it off him, because he adds a little bit of not just trickery, but also being able to do anything with either foot, take it when we need a goal from whatever position, drive at the defence, and kind of has a mix between not just what Callum does, but also a little bit of what Ziyech does. And that's what I think he maybe now start to improve on, is his ball deliveries and his kind of shot taking, because he does like to take a shot. We saw it at the Champions League. That's something that we may see over the next couple of months or so. But it is very much about making sure he's fine now and making sure over the next couple of weeks and games that he can get through this period. Because to him as well, if he can play a few games on the bounce, for his mind and confidence, okay, I've got over this injury now, I can go back to it. Because otherwise it might be in the back of your head that, if I do that explosive run, then maybe my calf will go. But I mean, Jay might have a bit more experience professionally than I do, that kind of knowledge.
Jay, that's a great point though from Zach. It's a really good question. Do you have that in the back of your mind when you're coming back from an injury, especially one that he's I suppose felt, it's only his 6th Premier League start of the season. For a player as explosive as he is, he's had injury troubles in the past, especially since he's been at Chelsea. It's been a little bit stop-start. When he's been starting, he's been phenomenal. But do you have that in your mind a little bit going, I hope it don't go tonight, or, I need to make sure that I'm careful when I do this? Or is it just a case of once the whistle goes, focus, gone?
Well, I never had too many muscular injuries. Most of my injuries were tendons or bones. But the same fears will apply. It's that first tackle, that first impact on a tendon injury where you go through the tackle. Can the knee or the ankle hold up to that? If there's a bone injury, well, he should have recovered from that. Muscle injuries, there's soft tissue. The reason that they go is there's either, the main reason is fatigue, tiredness, overuse. And of course, we're in that season now where all of those words can apply to probably any muscular injury. So I think that it's going to be managing it. There will be a fear. There'll be a worry, a concern. Once the whistle goes and that first sprint, he's got to warm it up. Once you get into the game 10, 15 minutes, the muscles should be supple enough and warm enough to continue through. It's towards the end of the game where that fatigue starts to set in. That's where your muscles become vulnerable to being torn or pulled. So it's the medical team will have to make sure they monitor that. But remember Michael Owen, that blistering pace he had a lot of problems with his hamstrings because he was so explosive. And those moments where the muscle is taut and it's used to move that whole body forward. So look, things have moved forward a long way since Michael was injured. But yes, it will be a concern and he will be aware of it. But as the game goes on, naturally, that just leaves your mind.
Let's have a little look at our opponents tonight then. Wolves starting with looks gone back to a back three. Rui Patricio, Nelson Semedo, Saiss, Cody, Bolly, Marçal, Dendoncker, Neves, Neto, Podence and Fabio Silva. So it looks like they've gone back to a back three, Jay, which is kind of tried and tested for Nuno. Is that we know how good they're going to be. I suppose that the threat looking is probably, they've got the young lad Fabio Silva they spent a lot of money on in the summer. He's going to take time. He's clearly a good player, but he's going to take time to develop and get to the level that they expect of him. But Daniel Podence and Pedro Neto are probably the two that we need to keep an eye on tonight.
And Dendoncker as well in the box, set pieces. He's one to be watched. I like Podence. He's got a little bit of Hazard about him, very sharp, very quick, got a nice imagination about when he's got the ball at his feet. I quite like Silva, even though he's played very few professional games. I can see why they spent a lot of money on him. Still potential. Neto, incredibly quick, incredibly direct, got a good left foot on him. Set pieces, they're actually quite a physical side. When you look at Bolly coming forward, the three centre halves, I mentioned Dendoncker there as well. Normally it's the centre forward as well who's out injured now. So there's going to be moments in this game where we have to make sure we are defensively very, very heavy. But João Moutinho, that's a big miss for them. Make no mistake. The two guys up top, that is a massive, massive miss for them.
Completely right, mate. It's going to be quite a big evening, actually, which leads us nicely onto a little bit of analysis that you've done for us, Jay. You've been assessing the outstanding performance of one of our own, Reece James. How good was he on Saturday? Check this out.
It wasn't the greatest weekend at Goodison, but if there's one young man that can leave with his head held high, it's Reece James, who's fast becoming one of the most consistent right-backs in the country. What are his strengths? Well, we know how good he is going forward, his crosses, but it's not just that, it's his technical ability as well and his strength See there how he's won the ball and powers past Richarlison. But that's the technique I'm talking about there. To strike a dead ball and a moving ball and hit the target consistently is brilliant. This here is brilliant technique. Keeping the ball down, knowing if he gets underneath it, the ball flies over the crossbar. His delivery is superb. His awareness at the far post, making sure he gets the other side of Richarlison, recognising danger and using that pace. And this is brilliant. I mean, he's playing like a midfielder here. We know he can do that. Bursting into that gap, winning a free kick that turned out to be a crucial error. But also, he's not going to be bullied. He may be young, physically he's very imposing, and he's not afraid to let people know about it. Reece James so far has had a stellar start to this season.
Zach, I know that we're all a little bit biased when it comes to talking about Reece James because we get the pleasure of seeing him every week, and I know that you've stood by this, and I'll back you 100% on Chelsea Unscripted. You did this on the YouTube series, well worth a look, by the way. Go and check that out. But you mentioned about Reece being the best fullback in the league, the best right back in the country. Absolutely 100%, a million examples that Jay's just touched on there.
Yeah, 100%. I think last year was his kind of breakout year for Chelsea, obviously. His first season in the Premier League. He spent a bit of time at Wigan previously in the Championship, and I think won Player of the Year there for them, which says a lot just there. And then last year you saw him and Aspie were kind of battling for it, for the right back position, and you saw like the glimpses and some of the beautiful ball deliveries. And this year he's really come onto his own. Even the first game of the season against Brighton, where he scored that goal, he's kind of got everything about his game. Like, part of me even thinks, and you say sometimes the same thing about Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he could also play midfield. He's so strong on the ball. He's got great passing technique. He can shoot as well from outside the box fantastically. He was so unfortunate not to score against Everton. And he's got so many things about his game that I just think, previously, when you talk about the best fullbacks, you know, there have been mentions for Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's definitely a fantastic player and great ball delivery, but sometimes defensively is a little bit suspect. And then others said about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, great defensively, suspect going forward. Reece James is like the mix of 2 times 10 and brilliant at everything. I've yet to see something where I've gone, oh, he can't do that, because he can do everything.
Completely agree, mate. And Abby, like Zach just touched on there, he was player of the season at Wigan when he played on loan, and when he was there on loan, played centre midfield for a lot of that season as well for Wigan. Like he's that good on the ball that you almost not just that, physically he's imposing. He wins every header. The way that he goes into tackles as well is like a player that you'd expect to see a sort of, I don't know, a late 20s or a veteran of the team that needs to set the tone. He does that every single game, and the fact that he's one of our own as well. He's just a perfect player for Chelsea at the moment, isn't he?
He's just fantastic. I'm just going to continue the gushing that you guys have just been doing, because he is incredible, isn't he? Like, his physicality, for me, he could come up against anybody and they're not getting that ball. He'll make sure of it. His crosses, his passing, as Zach said, a couple of amazing shots from him as well. So I can't wait to see where he goes going forwards, because already, what a player.
Amazingly good. And Jay as well, there's something about fullbacks being developed at Chelsea at the moment. I mean, obviously I'd put you in this class as well in terms of defenders that can do a bit, but Reece James, Tariq Lamptey obviously at Brighton at the moment, and then Livramento and Lawrence that are playing in the development squad in the under-23s. Livramento played last night in the PL2 game, was unbelievable a week or so ago against Leicester. I don't know what it is, but fullbacks wise, Chelsea are set for the next 15 years, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the reasons, if not the main reason, Tariq Lamptey had to leave to further his career. You know, good luck to him. He's had a brilliant start to life down on the South Coast. And people saying, why did Chelsea let him go? Well, he was out of contract. And was he going to get ahead of Reece? No, he would have probably ended up going to Swansea on loan or something like that. So credit to him. And that's the ability that we have now. He's had to go to further his career. That Reece has got the lot. There is very little about Reece that he hasn't got, that he can't go and have a stellar career. Physically, we've already made that point. A maturity about him when he's on the ball. He's composed in tight areas. He's got great delivery. He's physically strong. He can move forward. He can play. There isn't a weakness in his game, but loads of things that he can improve on, because he is going to be a hell of a right back. Make no mistake about that.
Bottom, mate. He starts at right back for Chelsea tonight, of course, and part of the back four with Kurt Zouma, Thiago Silva as captain, and Ben Chilwell, Edouard Mendy in goal, of course, N'Golo Kanté, Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, and Olivier Giroud also starting for Chelsea tonight. On the bench, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Antonio Rudiger, Jorginho, Tammy Abraham, who scored a hat-trick here last season, of course, Mateo Kovacic, Billy Gilmore, great to see him back in the squad, and Cesar Azpilicueta. Little mention then, I suppose, for Billy and Tammy mainly, Abby, because they're both players that are looking forward to getting another opportunity into coming into the squad. Billy took his chance, I thought, on Saturday when he came on. I thought he was very good, and as was Tammy. So we've got options from the bench tonight if they're needed.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them do come on at some point. And I'm sure, as usual, they'll both make their mark as well. Tammy will want to come back and score. Well, he scored a hat-trick before, so, let's let him have one a bit later, maybe.
We'll let him have one. Yeah, definitely. I'm with you there. Zach, who are you going for first goal scorer, mate? Because you've gone 3-0 in your prediction.
Oh, my goodness. You know what? Zouma. Kurt Zouma.
He's knocking him in.
The man rate that. Unbelievable in the air.
I'll rate that very quickly. Then final word, Jay, one word, first goal scorer.
I'm going to go for Timo. I think it's going to be tight. He's got one goal in it. We spoke about it during the show. I'm going to go for him.
Good work, mate. Well, that is all from us for now. Before we join our commentary team, let's see what Frank had to say when he spoke to Lee Parker ahead of the game.
How important is it to bounce back from the weekend?
Yeah, it's important. It's important, and it'll be tough because every Premier League game is. We found it out at the weekend when we dropped our level. We lost a game, and it can happen. We don't like it, but it can happen. And the important thing for us where we're at now is that the lads remain confident and realise the reasons why we didn't quite perform at the level, but go again because it's a quick turnaround. Sometimes the beauty of football is you get a chance to address it very quickly.
You certainly do, and I guess a very different test than what you saw at Goodison as well.
Yeah, possibly, but I think we saw at Goodison a very organised team in Everton, and they played. The midfielders were very disciplined against us, tried to stop us playing through the lines and getting behind them. A little bit like Tottenham tried to do a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not trying to guess how Wolves will play. I suppose it's my job to analyse them, but they're always very organised and a big threat on counter-attack as well, so there'll be some similarities to the game.
And finally, with it being such a quick turnaround, how much are you able to work with the players tactically, I guess, between games like this?
Yeah, not much. Physically, not at all. We didn't do much today, so sometimes it moves towards analysis and video, and we'll review Everton for parts of that game and then look at what Wolves can do. Thankfully, we're playing regularly now, so some things you don't have to hit every day about what we're doing. We're doing some things well. We didn't do them so well on Saturday, but some things we're doing well. We just have to keep plugging away with that. But in between games like this, it's been more about recovery.